welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club with 4 race starts. We're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red. See Luke Allport back on the front again. I'm sure getting deja vu here.
Well, Allport is keeping the pace high at the front of this Category 4 race, and we often see the pace high out the start pen with Category 4, but it's Sultan taking up the charge with Bjorklund and X100. X100 now distance a little bit from Sultan and Bjorklund because those two are now on a charge. This is danger territory for the rest of those Category 1 riders because he is of quality with the ground and the parkour ahead of him. This leading group, or not this chasing group, should I say, in this Category 1 race, coming up to the back of X100's wheel. But with damage has been done here because we've got a split in the group and we have a second group now further back down this mountain.
He's going to come up on Francis Rodriguez and Bello. As they go down the side, well, those riders, they're going to be calling for a horse, My Kingdom for a horse. They're going to need one to get up here. I'm not sure they've got the horsepower to stay with our leader.
The two riders rode away from the rest of the Category 3 race field, but Ratto put in that final dig. Ratto is your winner today.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's our finals. It's the 29th of October. And after the Shakespearean drama that was qualifiers 1, 2, 3 and 4, we will see who will be writing the script for our monthly finals today. My name's Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of the race action. I'm putting words to it and hopefully giving you a little bit of insight. And if you think I'm amazing, it's at Matt Fixer Payne. And if I'm rubbish, well, you can use Emma's Twitter handle or similar instead. Emma, it's great to be in the studio for the finals. We saw an absolute flyer of a women's race. The men's promises to be more of the same.
Oh, it does indeed. It is great to be here. This is the men's monthly final. Matt's right. We've seen a cracking women's race, really close competition, and I am expecting nothing less from the men today. So where are they headed? They are headed to Arabia, 45 kilometers of racing, and we are heading to the Jebel Yais. So 997 meters of climbing, and 763 meters of that comes in the final 13.5 kilometers because we have a hot category climb. It's got a 6% average gradient, but that is not the only climb today. Before that, there's a category 4 climb coming at 23.7 kilometers. That is only 94 meters of elevation. But it is a little precursor to what is to come. Now, before that, we have 5 300-meter sprint segments, which will give us an idea of how things are rolling along the way. And it is rolling. It is a rolling course until we get to that Category 4 climb and then that Hawk Category climb. And the finish line, well, that is 500 meters after the polka dot banner of the Jebel Yais climb segment.
So that's your course, 45 kilometres, 997 metres of climbing, facing our 4 categories, Category 1 in yellow, Category 2 in green, Category 3 in blue, and Category 4 in the red, who are our first riders away. 5 minutes between Categories 1 and 2, and Categories 3 and 4, 10 minutes between Categories 2 and 3. Sounds complicated, it's dead simple. First over the line wins in each category, and in Category 4, the teams that are competing, Bauhaus Sport Club, the DS team, you've got Team Colville, as well as Team Tiny Visma. I'd always love doing this because Emma never knows what's coming next. We've got the Anzacs, the Tour de Force, and the WTBR team as well. A great mix of teams, a big race field. All of the riders apart from Jokabonis in teams. We'll run through the riders in a second, but this is the finals. This is time to get underway. These are Category 4, the first of the riders to hit the 45-kilometre course, and we are go on the Sunday Race Club, the monthly finals for October. Race start is away. So that's a right-hand turn being taken, and then we're going to make our way on to our next T-junction and then sweep round from here into the city. Our Category 4 riders almost as one group coming away. The start is critical. You are not going to win the race. At the race start, you are potentially going to lose it if you're not in contention. It may sound familiar to you, that line, but it's the same line we used as the women's race for a reason, because it is so true. Absolutely critical here. Absolutely critical to be in touch. Expend energy chasing onto a big bunch. You're going to be in trouble, and it is a big bunch, isn't it, Emma? Let's have a quick run through some of these names in the teams, because they are really, really strong teams here.
Yeah, so Category 4, we've got 36 riders on start sheets today and 9 teams in this category. Now, let me just caveat something. So, this month through the 4 qualifiers, Gnocchi and Diduch have won. Just 2 winners this month, because Gnocchi's taken the win 3 times, Diduch as well. Now, those 2 riders have progressed with Elos to Category 3. So, the top riders in this category who have taken the wins this month are not in this Category 4 race, making it into the Category 3 race. Now, it was the DS team who took the win last month from the Anzacs. But taking a look at this, you know, Pino is there in the DS team, strong rider, Agudelo, Milano, there as well. The Anzacs, Dadson, Mark Dadson's been riding strongly. Allport, Francis McMurtry, they're good. They've ride Adriano Zanaska's been riding well. Ian Lloyd's been riding well. Fanati is also in the Tour de Force. Team Tiny Visma, well, that is Kaluma, Mamba, Abello, Cadabona. You know, we've seen those names time and time again, and they were strong back in the MyWhoosh Championships. And, well, Backhouse Sport Club, you know, Warren's had a 5th, Montoya's had a 2nd. So that could be a strong team as well. So I suppose what I'm saying really is it's a bit open today.
I thought you were just reading the phone book. There's that many names and there are that many contenders in here. And that's one of the great things, isn't it? That even within what is relatively close racing, between all of these teams, all of these riders, there's so many people in contention. There's no real dominant rider or team, I think, when we come to this.
14 riders took top 5 positions in the 4 qualifiers, you know, and two winners, and a number of those are not here anymore.
So let's see who is going to be taking the win today. The riders at the moment, the lead group are together. We do have one rider distanced off the back by a reasonably substantial margin. I was looking at about 8 or 9 seconds, I think, to me, as they go through. It could well be more just watching the riders coming through on that satellite navigation view. But we're going to go out onto our long curve that takes us round onto our first sprint. That's the Abu Dhabi sprint. And as you can see, we're going to come around this big long horseshoe turn here, make our way out around that turn, and we will find ourselves coming in to the sprint banners. Now, remember, of course, the sprint's not for anything other than a snapshot window in terms of our recognition of what the riders are doing in there, so we'll know who's going well, which groups are going fast or slow. But it does mean that one of our riders will be wearing the green skin suit of sprint leader as they go through, and they are basically accumulating points at each of the sprints. So the more sprint wins you take, the more points you get, and then you'll find yourself in there. Now, Category 4 starting to get opened up here. Joy Kaluma starting to wind, so the action is starting to unfold a little bit here in the early stages for Category 4. Category 3, well, they are lined up on the start line. They're ready to go on the boardwalk pens, and the Chasers cycling team, Colombian Andean Coal Team Draft of the full gas riders are just part of the team roster here today, because we also have the Hexagons, we have Italian Espresso, the Level Racing, the Team Ballot, and the Gold Grabbers here today. I think this is going to be a really, really tight race in here. Bearing in mind, all these teams are close, aren't they, Emma?
Well, I think this could possibly be draft, hexagon, and the gold grabbers 1, 2, 3 in terms of which way round that rolls. But about to roll out the start pen are the category 3 riders. They are up, they are gone, they are out of the pen cleanly as one group as they take the sweeping turn onto the boardwalk. All the riders we expect to see are in here. Munoz, Giraldo, Cadiz, Gakes, Winfield, Pulgarin, Kayin, Cy Bradley's here for his first final on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Elos, Demanuan, Bogran, Gonsulin, all of these riders are in the mix and ready to race today.
And remember, these riders who are racing here today, they are fighting it out for the prizes in their category, for themselves and for their teams. Now, Emma, when you went through that list of riders here in the mix, when we break that down into teams, we've got riders like Hexagon. So you've got two brothers there. You've got Burke and Kayin in there. Really strong sprinters. We know the Italian Espresso squad with Enrico Quadrelli, Alessio Caligula are going to be very, very strong and smart. I mean, Caligula's a DS, you know, for esports teams. You then add into the mix things like Draft with Gates and Winfield in there. But I'm looking through the sheets, and there's no one team that for me stands out as having an absolute superstar team.
Yeah.
It's very well spread.
It is really well spread. And as we said, there are 10 teams in this category. You know, if I start at the top, Johan Aron Chasers cycling team, Nogueira Chasers cycling team. I could pull riders out of every single category, but we've always said the category 3 race is one of the most competitive. You know, it's a big, big race field. 47 riders on the start sheets. You know, it is a huge race field with a lot of quality riders. And I think the course is going to play out somewhat in this race today. And it's going to be really interesting to see how the teams choose to tactically play this course. Now, are they going to, I'm trying not to give anything away from the women's race because the women were on the same course today. Are they going to play this very carefully until they get to the final climb? Or are we going to see different types of tactics from the men?
Well, you say they're on the same course. They are, in that we have a big climb at the end. And we have an intermediate climb, one intermediate climb. But for me, there is a difference. Now, it's not just in the fact one's 45k and one's 35k, because the actual race times are very similar. The balance is there. However, for me, the key thing on this is where the climbs are. So on the women's race, there were significant climbs in addition to the segment climbs, significant slopes and ramps that were very tough. And the segmented climb was in the middle of the section before you get onto the final climb. Here, the segmented climb comes right before the final climb with the aquarium climb. That is going to be really key. Now, I think it's going to depend on the category. It's going to depend on how they ride it. Because, of course, all 4 categories are fighting for individual prizes. It doesn't matter if you're first rider overall, it's about being the first in your category. And when you're riding for a team prize as well, that plays a big part in how the race is ridden, because people don't want to gamble with somebody else's money. Generally, people just want to gamble with their own. So let's have a look at the money. Let's see the differences there. And that probably is going to illuminate a little bit why we have so much different racing across categories and in between the riders, between the qualifier and the final. Because in the qualifier races, you can see it's just the individual classification. In the monthly final, we have the individual classification and we have the team classification together. So that means that the prizes are eligible. I will get my teeth in with enough coffee. Italian espresso, thank you very much. Are all welcome. 2,160 AED for the individual classification in the monthly finals. For the winning category 4, 10,800 AED in the win in the team competition. Now, that means that if you are racing for that team competition, you need 3 riders to qualify out of 5 in each of those teams. That means you've got a lot of people with a lot at stake. That is really key. And it gets bigger and bigger as we move through. So when we move from category 4 to category 3, you will see that the team prizes escalated up to an 18,000 AED first prize. The individual prizes up to 3,600 AED as well. And of course, those top 5 prizes in each the individual and team classification are escalated up. So there is more at stake in terms of prize money. But of course, it's a team competition, 3 riders minimum to count, and those 3 riders' times are added together. We have seen team competitions split by fractions of a second. That is how critical it is. Now, when we move from category 4 to 3, it increases from 3 to 2. We see another increase, 30,000 AED for the team win, 6,000 AED for the individual win. And even if you, let's say you're a 5th team in category 2, 3,000 AED is a substantial sum. That's 1,000 AED each. That's a very nice little addition, because you're probably going to be in the top 5 as well. Now, when we go to category 1, these are the riders at the top of the tree. They are the elite riders, and they're the ones with the biggest prize fund. 5,000 AED for 5th team, 10,000 AED for the 4th place team, 20,000 AED for the 3rd place team, 30,000 AED for the 2nd place team, and a whopping 50,000 AED for our top team in category 1, and in the 10,000 AED for the 1st place in the individual classification. You can see why our riders, they're going to race for this and why it matters so much. Now, we have riders from around the globe. Now, if you're in the UAE, then your 50,000 AED is the perfect currency to have it. If you are maybe somewhere else, you might find that the local currency is something slightly different, and we have riders around the globe, which means it's time for, and one of these days we're going to get a little jingle to play. It's Emma's Exchange. We're going to go over to Emma's Exchange, powered by Google, which is not to be taken as gospel in terms of financial monetary exchanges. 50,000 AED, Emma, for the team competition. Where are we going today on Emma's Exchange around the world?
Well,
Where in the world are we?
I'm going to New Zealand in
Okay.
the men's race today.
Antipodean.
So we are indeed, we've got a theme today. We went to Australia in the women's race. We're going to New Zealand in the men's race. 10,000 AED, 4,685 New Zealand dollars as we watch Mark Dadson. He's pedaling away on the other side of the world, but if he takes he can't take the team prize in category 1 because he's in category 4, but the 50,000 AED is 23,426 New Zealand dollars. Now, Mark Dadson is indeed one of our Antipodean riders. Dadson has had 1st, a 3rd and a 5th this month in the category 4 race, and take a look at that. He's in the breakaway with Allport, McMurtry, Francis and Dadson. Well, that's the Anzacs. That is a team tactic. All 4 of your riders down the road, put the attack in together. New Zealand and Australia are away off the front at the moment, and they've got a 9-second gap, and they are about to come up to this climb. So they're on the foothills of this climb. It's just coming up to 5% as they continue to push on. Now, this is really interesting. This is an attack from a team, a 4-man team, in the first 8 kilometres of a 45-kilometre race.
Now, when you're riding on MyWhoosh, if you've not been on MyWhoosh, really critical to know that the teams can talk to themselves. So if you are on the platform, what you'll find across the bottom of the bar when you're riding, across the bottom of the screen where our scrolling bar is, that is where you will find the way to access the microphone. Your microphone, you get channels. You can listen to everybody, or you can just listen to your team. And listening to your team is key. And that is why they're able to communicate and put down some great team tactics and go off the front. Going to be really interested to see what happens to go over the top of the climb in category 4. Will our category 2 riders emulate that? Well, we have some of the real aggressive teams in here. We've got the ADN team, Beast Mode, powered by Rose. We've got the Cafe de Colombia squad. Hubbards are in, as well as Sunday Bagels. Trying to make me hungry here. Clearly today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We have some of the most aggressive people looking to take out everyone else. The Hitmen. We have the Wattage Warlocks and the Wattage Wizards. So looking for maximum power, and they're up against UAE Falcons, Zayed Hamdan, Ahmed Al Tanaji, and Hassan Al Ramestri in the UAE Falcons. Could be very interesting whether maybe somebody like the Wattage Wizards can take them on. Will it be David Ospina's day today? We're going to find out. It's Category 2 who take the start, and away they go. They are off and riding 45 kilometers, 997 meters of ascent, and only a whole load of team riders, all eager to take top spot away from you and your team. It's going to be very interesting, this race in Category 2, a really aggressive, tough race. And when you look at these names through here, Emma, and we look at the names on that start list, so hard to pick an individual winner, never mind a team winner.
Oh, it has been really, really interesting. 37 riders on the start sheets today, 9 different teams. If we take a look at this month's stats, 11 riders have finished in the top 5. 3 different winners. Mendakowicz has won twice, Graves once, and Van He won last week. Now, saying that, last month's final, it was the Hitman and Hubbards, 58 seconds between the 2 teams. Now, you look at the start sheets and you think Hubbards, Betty, Kirchner, Winfield, and Oya, really strong. The Hitman, Graves, Spratt, Simmons, and Yeast, again, really strong. Lots of top 5s amongst those. But the Wattage Wizards, really strong. The Wattage Warlocks, really strong. Beast Mode powered by Rose, Mendakowicz is in there, Von Haren, Holweiler, Bjarhead, and Mare. It's going to be another competitive race.
It is, and look at the bagels. I mean, Filippo Quadrali, really strong rider. You've got Tatu Koistonen in there, Primero in there. If you look down, I mean, the Wattage Warlocks, you know, Van He, who you just mentioned being in there as the squads, and you can't count out somebody like Hassan Al Ramestri from the UAE Falcons on this club. So difficult to see who is going to take this away.
If we go back 12 months or so and we think about the Sunday Race Club and we think about the monthly finals, we were talking about 5 or 6 teams in each category, you know, and we were talking about who was going to be 1, 2, 3. Now we're looking at more than, you know, we're looking at a position where we've got 5 team prizes, but we've got 10 teams in Category 3, 9 teams in Category 2. This team competition, as the number of riders has expanded, the number of teams has expanded, the level of competition just gets better and better and better.
And you look at the number of riders in a final, because you have to qualify for a final. We did traditionally, if you go back a little while, see some relatively lower numbers compared to the qualifiers. The qualifiers would have higher numbers. Then when you had to qualify and when you got into those finals, the numbers were lower. There was less riders, and there were lower numbers of teams, as you said, Emma. There are a huge number of riders in this final in total across those 4 categories.
But still less than we see in some of the qualifiers, because not all of the riders qualify for the final or want to qualify for the final. So 153 riders overall on the start sheets of this men's race today, 34 teams. Now, we are just shy of 200 riders sometimes on the men's qualifiers. So you can see maybe 30, 40 riders down on some of the qualifiers for the finals, but you've got to get 2 verified rides in to qualify for the finals.
Is it any wonder we're spending more time on homework before and after the races?
Not at all. Not at all.
Not because of the size of the race
and
field.
It's no wonder that the racing is so exciting in each of the 4 categories now.
It is. And if you are racing, please do get in touch. You can help us with that homework. Get in touch at Biking Emma or at Matt Fixer Payne. Get in touch with us on social media. Emma on Instagram, me on pretty much anything. Dive on board. Tell us what you're up to. Tell us who's in your teams, where you're riding, where you're racing, whether you're coming back from injury, whether you're absolutely flying at the moment. We promise we won't tell quite the entire world, but we'll do our best to get it out there. Now, our riders in Category 1 are our last riders away, a set of riders we know well because they are the top of the tree. Some amazing teams in here. We have some individual riders lining up alongside the Belgian Waffles, the Donut Give Up, the International Cake Club, which is just like the best baker cake off team name ever. The Sweet Potatoes, just for Emma. The Team DSR, and of course, the UAE Clan team. Can the UAE Clan team equal the UAE Emirates team and come out at the top of the standings at the end of this? It's going to be a really close one.
Well, it is going to be a close one indeed, and we'll look a little bit into detail in a moment. But we're going to get this race underway. We're in with Ross Fawcett as the seconds tick down. Category 1 are away on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is the final for October. It is a packed field as they swing out of the start pen over the boardwalk and out on to the course. They face 997 meters of climbing. It's a 13.5 kilometer climb up the Jebel Yais to the finish line, but they've got 31 kilometers under their wheels until they get there.
Let's see who's going to take this out. The bunch out nice and cleanly as one. Just a quick heads up if you are watching for the first time. So whilst our riders are all riding exactly the same course, categories 1 and 2 are riding in the same world. And then there is a parallel world for categories 3 and 4. It does mean that category 3 and 4 can see and catch each other and use the draft from each other, and categories 1 and 2 can do the same, but not between those two sets of categories. So basically 2 exactly identical worlds existing at the same time. However, categories 1 and 2 in one world, category 3 and 4 in a parallel world. That is why you won't see a category 1 rider racing against category 4 or getting draft or vice versa from them. Simple. If not, go see Stephen Hawkins.
Well, category 1 this month, it has been absolutely phenomenal. It started in the September final last month, where the Italian Gelato squad beat the UAE Clan team, and it ended the UAE Clan team's domination of the team competition for some time.
And the Italian Gelato team are not here now, but their riders have changed across to the Sweet Potatoes.
Yes, and so indeed, those riders are in there. They are in the mix. So Noren, for example, Sweet Potatoes rider in the mix there. So great to see Safrazad in there as well. So that's going to be interesting. But this month in the qualifiers, it has been absolutely phenomenal racing. So Popovic has taken the win twice, Knudsen has taken the win once, and Vujasin took the win in qualifier 1 in the sprint. So really great racing in category 1. This team competition, Matt, where are you going to hang your hat?
Oh, it's so difficult. It really, really is difficult. I mean, it's hard to look past the UAE Clan team. Mr. X100, SS, Pablo Popovic, Michael Knudsen, all of which are capable of taking the win. All of which are going to be figured up there. And we know the UAE Clan team have so much pride in their team and how that team races. And that is shown by the way they close down move after move, the way that they talk to each other. The category 1 race, it's at 48 kilometers an hour now, and in part that is because everybody wants to be there. You can see SS in the blue cap there, up there marking out Pim Van Diemen. Van Diemen riding for Sweet Potatoes. Noren and Nair can climb. I know this for a fact
yeah,
because I've hung on to their wheel, breathing out of my ears, trying to stay with them whilst they were having an easy ride, and we know they could be up there, but don't discount riders like Chris Dawson, Simon Walters, Jasper Paradians, Christos Thiem, Jakob Björklund in the International Cake Club. It may say cake on the name, but I'll tell you something, these lads have not been putting away the Victoria Sponges. They have been right up there and can be right in the mix. I mean, think about Don't Give Up. Again, another confectionery name, but these guys are absolutely sweet when it comes to a climb.
Let me just give you a heads up. We were on the Jebel Yais for qualifier 3 in September. It was Knudsen versus Noren in a sprint, 0.2 of a second for the win. Van Elst in 3, Talbot in 4, and Popovic in 5.
And it's such a mix. And you've got people like Michael Kaminsky. Kaminsky's riding really strong for the Don't Give Up squad. We know that Tim Cutler's likely to go on the attack with David Talbot. But we haven't even talked about Belgian Waffles. I mean,
no, I know.
This is a who's who. I mean, just the Belgian Waffles team. It's a who's who, not just of esports riding, but continental riding. Lionel Vujasin, Martin Martins, Stefan Van Elst, and add into the mix Jason Osborne, who rides for flipping Ampersand. I mean, you know, it's incredible the strength of depth in here, and that is translating as quicker and quicker riding. And I think at the moment, Category 1 is as hard as I have ever seen it in all the time I've been on the mic for the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, which is coming up. In fact, it's not going to be long before it's coming up for 2 years. It's quite a scary thought.
Let me tell you, the quality, the world-class quality of this race field today, absolutely outstanding. As we're watching Vidar Mayer, he's the rider putting the attack in off the front. They're 3 kilometres into this race. It's 5.5 watts per kilo, but it's Sultan who's coming across. The kick was at 10 watts per kilo. Pim van Diemen now responding. Now that we've got a response, it is all coming back together. Van Diemen goes over the top. Mayer, Jason Osborne, Arnie Jacobs is in there as well. Everybody is marking each other as this group come back together after that small attack from Vidar Mayer. That is the sweet potatoes. The first attack of the day goes to them. I don't think that's going to be the last.
I would agree with you. And Hassan Sultan taking top spot in the sprint, not because he was going for the sprint, but that's what it takes to close down the attack. That attack going through that sprint segment, showing you just how much work you have to do to close it down. Really interesting that when you look at this, I mean, we saw that attack go through, the attack there as it went through from Pim van Diemen. Sultan responding. We know he's also a threat. I mean, people like Al Hamadi, Al Thib, Reno, Sultan, Sanchez, Andres, they're riding individually. But Hassan Sultan, I mean, he was absolutely flying, and he could be somebody who could be there at the finish. And I wouldn't put it past him to attack really early in the day.
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see what does happen whilst we drop back in with the Category 2 race. And there's been a stretch here. So they're at 7.2 kilometres into this race. This is an uphill section of the course. And look at that string of spaghetti down the road. So Phil Graves is the rider on the front. He's joined by a number of riders now as they try and hang on the wheel. So this move going on an early climb. It's not a classified climb. It is just one of the smaller climbs on the course, but picked up by Simmons. Van He is there. Graves, Ospina, Mayer. Von Haren is in there too. So Carlos and David Ospina in this leading group as the rest of the group are working to come back together.
And this is where the riders are testing each other's legs. You may not make a race-winning move here, but you can damage the other riders. They have to respond. And if they've not warmed up, maybe not as much as you have, that's time to do it. If you're feeling good, you have to use this moment. You can't just leave it and leave it and leave it. Because if you've got a great leg, you're feeling good at the start, or in one of these early climbs that are not categorized, you've got to use that sensation. You've got to have good sensation. You've got to go for it. But also, you don't want to waste it because you get to the end of the race. You might not have great legs. You might actually be suffering, and you've just wasted this. Now, looking at this, Mendakowicz, Graves, Howeiler, Van Heen, Juki on here. They've taken that left-hand turn as they came up the hill. They turn left on the flat section, then back onto this kicker, and now as they go over the top, this is critical. Watch carefully here. As you go over the top into the descent, if you push over the top, if you get a gap opening, it's a thin end of a wedge, and we are seeing riders being distanced.
Well, and I think that's the plan here. I don't think this is an attack to go away. I think this is an attack to start dropping riders from this group, to make this group smaller. We saw a couple of riders get dropped on the last push on the previous section when Graves went off the front. Now that Mendakowicz is pushing on here, we're seeing more riders drop off. In fact, I'm counting at least 2 more riders dropping off this group. It might just be 2 every time, but every 2 makes the group smaller.
It does indeed. Category 2 on the right hand side of your screen. On the left hand side and coming onto our main screen, these are the Category 1 riders who are chasing behind. We have one rider stretching their legs up the road, which is Vidar Mayer. Mayer just starting to open a little bit of a gap up here as they come through. That's not a full-blown attack. We know that these riders are capable of double-digit watts per kilo. However, at the moment, It's one rider pushing on. It's Vidal Mayer, who's just sitting at a comfortable 5 watts per kilo. Not comfortable for most people, but this is category 1. These are the elite riders that have gone over the top. That gap is there. The pace is picking up. They're going to come through the next of our sprint banners, topped by that UCI banner. Remember, of course, MyWhoosh, the partner for esports with the UCI, the international governing body of cycle sport around the globe, until 2026 at the moment. No, I keep on going even longer than that. Really looking forward to what happens. Keep your eye on the MyWhoosh social media feeds. That's MyWhoosh on Instagram and on Facebook, as well as my_whoosh on Twitter, for all of the news as that format is announced. Now, really interesting. We talk about the sprint segments being a snapshot on the racing, and this shows us that through that snapshot, because of the attack being put in by the Hitmen in category 2, with the answer coming from Don and Ospina from the Wattage Wizards, the teams that we thought would be right up there in category 2, they are mixing it up with the category 1 aggressors: Sultan, Dawson, Safrazad and Panizza, Team DSR, Sweet Potatoes, the International Cake Club, and of course Sultan running as an individual. A real mix of riders in the top 8 as they come through, and these results, of course, are live, so they are going to be updated on the way through. Now, Pim Van Diemen going for the classic move, come through the sprint over the top and attack, and then Pim Van Diemen now stretching his legs out. He's opening up the gap here. The Sweet Potato squad, they're very aggressive. There's none of this smooth, almost bland taste to them. You know, with a soft outside and a mushy inside. These guys are like proper potatoes, never mind sweet potatoes. They are crispy. They are very, very tough stuff. They're absolutely packed full of goodness, and they are giving it some.
You can't beat a baked sweet potato.
No, you can't. Culinary debates on social media, please, only.
Well, Ross Fawcett taking up the mantle with Tim Cutler. Cutler's been very aggressive. He is an aggressive rider, but Fawcett and Cutler from Do Not Give Up. Do not give up. Do not give up.
Great pun.
It's a great pun. So Fawcett, Osborne, Cutler, Van Diemen, Popovich, Jacobs, Thiem, Don, all in the mixer. SS is around the top 2. So is Vujasin. This is continuing to be a hot pace at the moment. There's a hot pace and hot sauce all over these food groups at the moment. So Vujasin continuing to push on. Popovich now coming into the mix as well. Panizza is there. Tolbert is there. Knudsen is there as well, keeping his powder dry at the moment, because I think Knudsen will be waiting for that final climb. I don't think he'll want to show his colours too early, but I think after being knocked into 4th place in that sprint last week, well, he's going to have something to prove today.
He is. He's going to prove to the cream will rise to the top as he makes his way up here. It's going to be really interesting. I promise you, we're going to try not to do too many baking food puns. You can tell that this studio is a hungry studio, not just for the race action, but if you do hear a rumbling, it's not because we're having an earthquake in Sheffield, it's because my stomach is rumbling. There you go.
Wow.
Right, let's get back to the racing of the Category 4 riders back in town, making the way down into the next sprint segment. So this is our 5th sprint segment of 5. And that leading group, it's not 4 riders, it's 5.
Well, it's Ola Warren who has joined the group. So Warren from the Backhouse Sport Club has indeed joined the 4 Anzac riders in the front group of this Category 4 race, 24 seconds back to the chasing group. Now, one of the things I like, Matt, about these teams is these teams don't just come together. They're not just names that a group of riders allocate to themselves as part and parcel of the Sunday Race Club. Some of these teams are teams in real life. They're teams based in the community. In the Backhouse Sport Club of Warren and Geraldo Montoya and here in Category 4, that is indeed the case here, with the Backhouse Sport Club being an initiative in Sweden around raising awareness around mental health challenges for kids and youths.
Youths.
I can't get my teeth
really
around.
old there.
I do. Youths. So young people.
Yes.
So in terms of that sort of mental health initiative, how the sport can help with that, and in terms of that community activity. So the Backhouse Sport Club, not just here for the Sunday Race Club.
No, and that's really great to see, isn't it? I mean, that we know just how good we feel when we watch the Sunday Race Club, how good it makes you feel when you ride your bike on MyWhoosh, when you're out riding your bike in outdoors, whether that is going down to the local jumps, whether it's traveling on one of the many trails, the tracks, the velodromes around the UAE, whether it's going out and around the mountains, whether it's on the flats. Getting out. Sport is absolutely critical, proven to keep people, literally prescribed to make people feel better. It is really, really key. It's great to see the teams putting that back into sport.
Well, it is, and it's not. Sport is a lot of things for a lot of different people, isn't it? There are indeed the riders and racers and the people who enjoy the community aspect and the social aspect of riding together in whatever activity that is. But there's also other things you can do behind the scenes. There's taking part in organising events. There's being a supporter and supporting your favourite club. All of those types of activities. Watching it on TV, being glued to the racing.
Well, that kind of sums up what we do for a living, which is watching the racing. We actually have quite a lot of racing on this weekend that we're going to be calling the action to with our UCI partners on esports. That is MyWhoosh. We're here for the Sunday Race Club. We're getting to watch these amazing riders who are out and racing on the Sunday Race Club in Category 2 at the moment. We are actually going to be splitting up. Emma's going to be heading off from this studio to our other studio across the way, and that is going to be for the UCI XCE mountain bike European Championships. So Emma's going to be over there after this race. I'm going to be heading absolutely nowhere, because we're going to be going straight into the UCI Cyclocross World Cup. Emma and I both covering various World Championships and World Cups this weekend. And it's meant we've been watching a lot of racing, really enjoying it. But I 100% agree with you, Emma. Really great to see our riders in here. And everybody, these are avatars for us. And they're avatars to the other riders, but they're also people doing real things out in the real world. They're out there raising money, fundraising, looking after mental health, looking after various charities, actually promoting riding and racing. And they're real people, and that's one of the things that I think is really easy to lose sight of when you watch esports. Every single one of these people is somebody out there who at the moment is working their socks off.
Well, that's it, and they are all around the world, as you can see from that list of flags in front of you. That's the Desert Sprint, Sultan going through with SS, Daunton Camfield from Category 2, Van Elst, Simmons, a real mixed picture in front of us. These riders riding together from all over the world in all different time zones. If you've had a change of time zone today like we have, you know how early it can be. But I know for some of our riders, I complained this morning when the alarm went off and I headed to the studio really early this morning, but I do know some of our riders in the States are up at 3-4 a.m. in the morning. Wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is, thank you for joining us on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Sultan is the rider we are in with at the moment, and we're heading back to Category 3, who are coming up to the 20-kilometre mark.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting, that point you made there, Emma, about people around the world. Now, I know that you are a keen racer and rider, and that you function best generally in the afternoon and the evenings, because that's when you like to race, because that's when you go at your best performance. Now, when we come across, then you look at the change of time zone, that changes it. I am traditionally the first person into the studio at full speed events of anybody. That's not just because I drink loads of coffee. It's also because I'm here really early. I just work really well in the morning. Give me a morning ride or a race quite happily over an afternoon race, but I don't mind evening so much. And yet we have riders who can't follow their necessarily their pattern, and they're racing. I mean, 3 o'clock in the morning.
When they shifted the vet women's race at the National Cyclocross Championships from the first race on at 8:30 in the morning to around 12:15, I was a very happy woman.
Did it translate into better performances and better podium performances? Did you actually race better?
It's a good question.
Well, if you can't answer it, nobody can. So.
Well, I know that's a good question, isn't it? But
think about it and come back to us. But I actually think it's a really good point. I mean, there are sort of, there's the fables that you ride better around your birthday, and you ride better if you're a bloke, you don't have a shave the morning before you're racing, and all sorts of stuff. But do you race better at the time of day? I know I always did, and the performances, when I actually put in a half decent ride, it generally was at a time when it suited me, and it was also temperature dependent. And I think that's the other thing. We've got riders around the globe having to adjust, whether you are out in the UAE and it is absolutely scorchingly hot, whether or not you just had a thunderstorm. They had an amazing electrical thunderstorm in the UAE only a couple of days ago, lightning flying all over the place. And I think that makes a difference as well, because the air pressure changes and the way that the temperature changes is really going to affect our riders. Not as much as the courses. You can see we just had a quick flick back to our Category 4 riders, or a quick flick up to the Category 4 riders because they're already climbing. But we now see Hassan Sultan here on the front, winding it up here. He's not going to be content, I think, leaving them on there.
These two have been aggressive for some time.
I know.
SS and Sultan have been really aggressive. Bjorklund coming across now.
And I think you've got two things happening. You've got Sultan wanting to make the racing interesting. He always does. I mean, I love his. I don't want to use the word joie de vivre, but that's basically what it is. It's a love of life. It is absolutely just goes for it. He's absolutely full on. He's not afraid to have a go. And he gambles a lot of energy when he does that. But you know what? It's great to see. And I think that's brilliant. Now, I have to say, I'd like to be like Hassan Sultan. I wouldn't want to be cynical. I mean, I've lost count the number of times I've been spat out of the back of a bunch because I've been playing silly what's off the front. But that, for me, it's racing. It's having a go, and I think it's really interesting. I love that. And then you got SS. I mean, he's so good for that team. We talk about Mr. X100 being the road captain, but SS is the guy who, time and time again, does so much work bringing the team on, marking out at the front. And I think sometimes he doesn't take advantage of the fact, actually, that he's an amazingly strong rider. And I think this is the thing with the UAE clan team, why they were dominant for so long. They play not just to their strengths, but they look after each other really well. I think the rest of the teams now are catching up with that.
Well, I think that's about the team, isn't it? And actually working as a team. The UAE clan team wouldn't let a rider drop back. Someone would go back, someone would pull them back on. They actually worked as a functioning unit. Now, when groups of riders come together for a final, if they only ride in that final and then they go away, they're disbanded, and then a similar group of riders, but not the same group of riders, come back again the following month. They've not been riding as a team. They've not been riding as a cohesive unit. They've not been helping each other. The UAE clan team, week in, week out, look after each other.
Yep, and they're right up there. Look at that. Michael Knudsen, 6th fastest timer through the sprint there, with SS in the 2nd fastest time. You look at Hassan Sultan, though. It was really interesting. He dropped back through the back of the group, then he sprinted his way through the front of the group in that segment. So that segment, the Heritage Village sprint, he's got the fastest time by 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds. Really interesting to see that he's really making the most of that. And that's one of the things about Sunday Race Club. You can animate the action, you can go for the sprints, and you can go on a ride of whatever length you want. Don't forget, of course, as a team, lots of these teams all putting in rides on the MyWhoosh platform. You can jump in with them. I had the pleasure of going on a few of the team rides now. Great to be out there with them, chatting with the riders, find out a little bit about them. We're in between struggling to stay on the wheels, I have to say. It doesn't matter what category ride it's been. I've always been struggling with them, but that's just because I don't ride a bike enough and I'm not quick enough. Really easy. Now, all 4 categories on your screen. You can see category 1 and 2 on the top of your screen, category 3 and 4 across the base of your screen. And aggressive racing in category 3 and 4 here. The distance is very interesting. 25.5k covered, midway up the Aquarium climb for category 4. Category 3 at 23.5k are just about to turn into the climb. Category 2, well, they are currently at 18 kilometers So they're still 5 kilometers out from the categorized climb of the Aquarian climb, and category 1 currently covering 15.4k, which, despite being an aggressive race, means that they have not closed that much down on category 2.
Well, let's just remind people, if they've just joined us and this is the first time they've watched the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, Category 4 were our first race underway 5 minutes before Category 3. Category 3 started 10 minutes before Category 2, and then Category 1, the last group away on the road, started 5 minutes behind Category 2, which was 20 minutes behind Category 4. So all these 4 races with their own discrete start, time out on the road at the moment. Big group in Category 3, all still together. 1 or 2 riders just dropped off the back, and you can see that on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen on the left-hand side. You can see that blue blob a little bit further back, but this is a huge group. Now, Category 3 is our largest race field today. 47 riders on the start sheets, 10 different teams, and boy is it a competitive race, because 24 kilometers into this 45-kilometer race, that is the size of the leading group in front of you. It's phenomenal.
That is just a swarm of riders on the way up here. Just absolutely huge group, crazy volume of riders making the way up here into the climb. Going to be really interesting. I wouldn't want to take that many riders in. I would want to break it up, but the opportunities have been thin on the way through.
Yeah, they have, but taking a look back at Category 1 now, 16.8, so coming up for 17 kilometres of this race. And you know, that's still a good sized group as well. So Category 1 may not have been as large as Category 3, 33 riders on the start sheets today, but they are still pushing on, and it's still a big group. It's a big group in Category 2 as well. So other than Category 4, we're seeing large leading groups on the Sunday Race Club final in Arabia on the Jebel Yais. That's what's coming up. 763 meters of climbing, over 13.5 kilometers, and then a 500-meter run into the finish. Category 2 swinging out and over the water. Category 1, well, they are nicely packed at the moment, and just taking a look at Vidal-Mer's heart rate, that group rolling very comfortably at the moment. I can see 2.7 to 3.5 watts per kilo of that group. Mer's heart rate 136, so a nice steady pace for them.
It is. I think the difference in this racing is really interesting. And Category 4, as always, not disappointing. This, though, 4 riders from one team. You know, they're basically looking to sew up that competition. They're nearly a minute clear.
This was obviously a predetermined tactic from the Anzacs team.
And it could have gone so badly wrong. They could have burnt all their riders out before they hit the climb. The riders behind must be thinking, well, we're not pulling it back that much yet. We could pull it back some more, but we're not there yet.
Well, we said it's a really long climb at the end, 13.5 kilometres. Anything could happen, but this is a class group of riders, and Ola Warren has joined them. He's had a 5th this month as well. Just taking a little look here, Dadson's had a 1st, a 3rd and a 4th. Allport's had a 1st and a 2nd. Francis and McMurtry are not slouches either, as we watch Dadson just push on here. Now he's pushing on the descent. Now the question for me is, why is he pushing on at the moment? Because he's got his 3 teammates with him, and he's got Warren with him. Now Warren's teammates, well, let me just take a quick look on my sheet. They are indeed in that chasing group, but that chasing group is 50 seconds back. We know some of these riders in this group, we know most of the riders in this group can climb, and can climb strongly. So really interesting to see any push on this group. That push has now come off of the groups, that group rolling nice, but that's 5 leaders in the Category 4 race, and they've got around 45 seconds.
They have now. Vidal-Mer from the Sweet Potatoes team on the attack. looking to open a gap here. He's at 6 watts per kilo consistently. He's using this run into the descent to open some distance and gap. And this is where it pays to know how the platform rolls. If you've not raced on here, and one of the questions we've been repeatedly asked is about making sure you know how the platform rides and what do you need to do if you're going to be wanting to ride, for example, in the World Championships. Well, the answer is ride a lot on the platform. Absolutely ride a lot on the platform. How it feels, how it rolls, when to attack. Great move here by Vidal Mer. He went over the top. He used that momentum. He's got some slipstream through, some draw through on the way through. How much he gets, where it comes, and how much distance he can get. Really key knowing that when you're racing.
And it is so important to ride on this platform. It is so important to understand the technique to ride on MyWhoosh and the technique to race. You know, we talk about the last 500 meters sometimes, and sometimes we see massive upsets. We saw a 4-up sprint last week. And you know what? You have to understand the dynamics. You have to understand how it races, because you have to understand particularly how momentum works for you in racing on MyWhoosh. We've seen Popovic do it. We've just seen Mer do it. We've seen riders come so close. We've seen riders who you think are out of it in the last 2 kilometers come back and take a top 5 position because they understand how to race on this platform. So Vujacin, Dan, SS Theme, Nair, Panizza are all in the mix here. Safrazad is here. Paradians is here. Martins is here. They are all in this leading group. It's a huge leading group in category 1. They are coming up to the 20-kilometer mark. I'm seeing another little push on the front that's coming from Chris Dawson's SS immediately covering it. Vujacin is the rider behind. They've bought the break back in. We've got a couple of category 2 riders in the group. They got swept up from Mer as he put that attack in. Now, no one letting an attack go at the moment, and it's SS continuing this strong pace at the moment. They are running through this sprint section, and SS leading them out. Will he continue that attack as they get on the other side of the sprint, or will he sit up and come back into the group? It's Sultan who's doing the chasing. He is a category 1 rider, but in that green skin suit, signifying he has the most points in the sprint competition in category 1. So SS and Sultan continue the charge in category 1. As we take a look at that sprint results, it is indeed Sultan taking the sprint section there in 24.8 seconds. SS in 2, X100 SS's teammate in 3, Knudsen there from the UAE clan team as well, before Kaminsky, Fawcett, Walter Harris. Martins is there too. The sprints coming thick and fast before we see the 2 climbs. So all 5 sprints over, done and dusted before we get to the aquarium climb at 23.7 kilometers. That final sprint there complete for categories, but the aquarium climb coming at 23.7, so in just under 3 kilometers now for this category 1 race field. It's a huge group of riders all still together. We are looking at them as they continue on the trajectory towards the climb, the first climb of the day. Category 4, well, they are just under the polka dot banner, signifying the second climb of the day. They are on the Jebel Yais. They've now got 13.5 kilometers of this climbing segment ahead of them, and then a 500-meter run into the finish. And Dadson, Warren, McMurtry, Allport and Francis, the 5 riders leading category 4 are clear. They are now over 1 minute clear of the chasing group.
So this group with that gap on the climb, this is where it's going to count. The riders making their way through. Who's going to have this? Will they be able to hold on? And what's going to happen behind? Remember, it's not just about that first team. It's about teams 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because remember, we have such a big packed set of race fields out there in the men's race here today on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club. And amazing to see how that has come down with that attack blinding move by the team in Category 4 of the Anzacs. Now in Category 3, a completely different kettle of fish. There you are,
Yeah,
proper
look at
UK English commentary phrase, a kettle of fish. And one day I'll come out with, I'll tell you what that actually has come from, along with whittling. We haven't done that one for a while. So our riders on the way through. This group has not been brought down much. We have seen rider after rider dropped off, but it's still huge. And that is in part because it is the biggest race field of the day. Category 3 on the way up here. And at the moment, for me, this is a little bit more circumspect on these flatter sections, a little bit more careful on the flatter sections when it gets to the climb, a bit different now. On the front, Mr. X100 for the UAE clan team. We've seen a push by them. Are we seeing a push here, Emma, because somebody significant is off the back? Or do you think they just want to make it hard as they come in? They are currently at 22.6k. It means they're coming into the climb. They're about to hit the Aquarian climb. Is this just a way of controlling the pace? Maybe just getting a little bit of a head start on the group?
Well, I'm wondering whether the UAE clan team have decided enough's enough and this group is way too big, and they're going to use a number of different tactics if they need to make this group smaller. Because at the moment, this is phenomenally, I'm going to use the phrase phenomenally huge because I can't count that. I don't know if you can. But
lots. My default phrase for a lot of riders, lots.
It's a huge group at the moment, and we've got X100 off down the road. He's put in a bit of a push here. SS is also on the front of the group and keeping the pace really high. Panizza, Martins all covering the front, so is Kaminsky and Jacobs, Fawcett and Safrazad Bjork. They're all there. All of them are in the mix. They are pushing on. But X100 is just hanging out on the front at the moment. We've got one or two riders, I think, who are starting to hang off the back, and I think that's the intention. I think the intention of the UAE clan team is to push hard on the front and stretch the group, changing it from gnocchi to spaghetti.
Oh, dear me. Have you not got enough food analogies in already?
Oh, I was just trying again. But as we start to see the race being strung out here from X100, from the UAE clan team, it is indeed Pim van Diemen pushing on, and Jason Osborne, Van Elston, Talbot. They are trying to close him down now on this climb. He's just taken that right-hand bend, and the riders go round after.
Now, is this going to be a case that when they get there, they're all going to shut down and then we'll see another attack? Are we going to see people like Pim van Diemen, Tim Cutler, real breakaway artists try and go clear again? They've brought the whole group back together, and as they come in to the UCI banner, the polka dot banner, signifying the start of the aquarium climb, the first of our segments in terms of climbing. This group has come pretty much back together again as they make their way on to the slopes. This climb, remember, 3.3 kilometers long, 94 meters of ascent, an average gradient of 3%. Doesn't sound much, however, it's stepped, it's tough, and remember, they are racing up this. This is not just about being able to ride up it, it's about being able to race up it at speed and be able to counter those moves. So it's no good being absolutely out of your mind in total oxygen debt with your brain malfunctioning because all of that fuel is going into your legs to get you up there. You've got to be able to watch the racing and know how to race. Be smart on the way through. So category 1 starting the climb a bit further in front. Category 3 just hitting the lower slopes of the Jebel Yace. They are on the way on to the main climb. They're at 31.3k, so 300 meters into the climb. The first part of the Jebel Yace. It's a nasty little welcome to the mountains because it is an 8% climb. It's an 8% kicker on this very first part, and that means that if you are on the limit when you hit it, you're likely to go over your limit on the climb trying to stay with the fast climbers.
Well, let me tell you, there are close to 40 riders in that leading group in that Category 3 race. So what a difference between Category 3 and Category 4. 5 riders leading Category 4, nearly 40 riders in that leading group in Category 3. It's not far off that, you know, in Category 2 or Category 1 as we see another rider off the front of that Category 1 pack. They are continuing continuing to push, but they are much further down this course than Category 3 and Category 4, starting a significant time behind them. Category 1, well, they're coming up for 25 kilometres. They're coming up for 20 kilometres of racing to go. This group full of strong riders. So Safrazad is here, Vujasin, Mayer, Don, Fawcett, Kaminsky, Paradians, Walter, Panizza, Jacobs, SS, Van Diemen, Safrazad, X100 is in here, so is Knudsen. This is a who's who, and we have yet to see the fire lit underneath them. So as we continue in the tunnels, this is the aquarium climb. The rider's about to start moving up and out. The rider just in the distance there, well, that is Mr. X100, 5.5 watts per kilo. He's a great time trialer. We've seen him regularly hold a strong pace for a long time. He's got that fantastic ability to do that. He's picked a pace here and he is moving strongly. He's holding about 7 seconds on the group at the moment. Van Diemen is the rider chasing with Van Elst and Cutler. So the group behind not panicking at the moment, holding X100 at around 6 or 7 seconds as they continue up this Category 4 climb. This is the aquarium climb. It's 3.3 kilometres in length with an average gradient of 3%. And they continue to tap this out, not really altering the status quo.
Really interesting, isn't it? And you're looking at the pace that's being put down here. It is a real time trial pace, real pressure on the front there, but we see Miss X100 do this time and time again. Now, very different watching these riders on the descent here, because I would expect this group of Category 2 riders to have broken up more. They haven't. This is still a big pack.
23.
So, yeah, and that, for me, that different dynamic really is telling me that I think they are going to be holding a lot of the firepower, a lot of their energy for that final climb, understandably. Whereas in Category 1, Miss X100 is doing a lot of work. We've seen a lot of attacks, a lot of pullback. Pim Van Diemen's been doing the same. Riders starting to push a little bit earlier on the way through, maybe just using those sections on the way through. Miss X100 currently now with 9 seconds gap, continuing to push at 5.4, but he's not in his red zone, is he?
No, he's not. And we can tell that by looking at his heart rate, because we've seen X100's heart rate go up to about 164, 165. Now, heart rates are very, very personal, and it is about the comparator with each individual's heart rate. You cannot compare rider with rider because it just does not work that way. So X100 here still leading the charge, leading the gap here now, 7 seconds. It's Vujasin on the front behind now at the moment. Now, Vujasin has had a phenomenal month throughout October. 1 first place, 2 third places, and 1 fourth place in the 4 qualifying rounds. What is he going to do today? Is he going to round out the month with a top 5 in the final as well to make a full hat box there? Or are we going to see a different result for Vujasin? This is not Vujasin. This is a Category 3 race, and it is Munoz Giraldo who is pushed on here. He's got a gap as well, around 6 seconds on the chasing group, and he's gone up and round one of the Category 4 riders as our Category 3 groups start to move. Now, on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you can see Munoz Giraldo has put an attack in, but you can see the groups on the road behind and the climb ahead. So Munoz Giraldo, the leading rider in Category 3, 23rd on the road now, indicating 22 Category 4 riders in front of him. They are scattered up that mountain. Now, on this Category 4 climb and coming to the top of it are our Category 1 riders. X100 was out front, but we can see a stretch on the group now as they are bringing him back into the fold. But the group is stretching. Are they going to lose anybody off the back of this group, or is this group going to hit the descent all together?
I think this group is just so smart. You know, you don't get to be Category 1 without knowing what you're doing when you race. It's very rare Category 1 riders get caught out. It can happen. It tends to be because they're actually on the absolute limit. And of course, we've got to remember these guys are training absolutely flat out. They're trying to make sure they've got the full potential harnessed, utilized all the way through their training. It's no good training suboptimally when you're at this level of rider, because you need to be on top of your game, particularly coming into the finals. Now, on the way down, this group, it has pulled the group through. One rider has been yo-yoing at the back, which is dangerous as you come in to this descent, and maybe just going to use this little bit of a kicker up. Let's take a little look at the results, because as we come up the Aquarian climb, we're just taking a look. At the moment, it is showing that the Category 2 riders went up there faster. Remember, we had an attack from the Hitmen along with Ola Warren in there. We're just going to take a look at the moment. It looks to me like Dont in pursuit on that climb had gone quicker on the way up the Aquarian climb. Really interesting to see that as they came in and through. And remember, of course, this is the first time we go through on the climbs. Now, behind, we're just taking a little bit of a look at this Category 1 group. They're on this descent, and the rider who was distanced, look at the gap that's opened up now. I think somebody is really in trouble. The left-hand side of the left-hand side screen, just about hovering in the satellite navigation, was one rider who's distanced over the top and distanced big style. That means not going to be in the hunt going up on to the climb. But as we come down, remember, we've got to come back out from here and onto the climb, which is where our riders are in Category 2. So this is the Yates. This is the slopes. They're 200 meters in past the entry banner. Remember, this climb finishes at the climb segment itself at what is 500 meters to go. So remember, it's going to finish at 500 meters to go. That is where you'll see the polka dot banner for the climb segment. And then we will have a further 500 meters to the yellow banner that is the finish line of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And it's Category 2 go on here. Simmons, Spratt, Mayer, Quintero, Graves, Kirchner, and Co. on the attack. It looks like they have got a big chasing group of riders with them as well, and already splitting one rider distance in Category 2. In Category 3, bottom left hand side of your screen, you can see that the leaders are starting to work their way through. Munoz Geraldo, it is at the moment, who has the lead. He has got 18 seconds on Giuliano Roncalli, sort of the chasing group trying to keep him closed down. He's currently making his way up. He's at 34.5k, so he still has over 10 kilometers to go. Category 4, the leaders on the road at the moment, they are at 35.3k. Allport, McMurtry and Co. have the gap. They've got the distance. The Anzacs team on the attack and clear. Now, in Category 1, again, another move, another kick coming through, another try to break this group up, to thin the group down. And this group of riders behind, I don't think they want to go after too soon, because I think they're a little bit worried about this climb. Missed X100 has gone clear again. Vidal Mayer has gone after him. Mayer riding for the Sweet Potato Squad. They really, the gelatos well and truly have metamorphosized into the Sweet Potatoes, haven't they?
They have, but 26 riders still in this group, you know, and they're coming into this final climb now. We say it's the final climb. It's 13.5 kilometers long, and then there's a 500 meter run into the finish.
Last third of the race.
14 kilometers in distance. In fact, they've got 14.5 kilometers because they're 500 meters off the banner. But X100 and Mayer are the two running into the climb, and they've gained 6 or 7 seconds. Now, for me, I think this is a case to excite the pace on the front, because this is a big group. 26 riders going into the bottom of this climb together. Absolutely class field today. And the teams now want some action, because they do not want well, it's already going to be a 14-kilometer race with 26 riders in it. It's not going to be a 45-kilometer race, because there's still 26 riders in with 14k to go. So X100 and Mayer, the two riders off the front, they are wanting to pull this out. Now, Vujassin and Fawcett are on the group behind, but as X100 and Mayer go under the polka dot banner, it's 13 seconds to the chase group behind.
I tell you something, that's really going to be interesting as they come on now to this climb, because you've got Mare, you've got X100 up the road with Jassin squeezing. Now watch the numbers, look out for those red chevrons as they go on, up to 6.5 watts per kilo in the chasing group behind. Jassin, Van Elster looking to close the gap down a little. Mare kicking on here. These are in to the yellow chevrons are there. Osborne moves up near the front. Hassan Sultan moving up near the front. Stefan Van Elst moving up near the front. This is now about getting in position. You do not want to be left behind on the lower slopes. That will be game over. However, it's, as Emma has just said, an incredibly long way to the top. A third of the race distance, basically. Probably half the race time on these slopes. That is a big climb, a big distance. The Jebel Yace, you can go climb it, you can go run it yourself on MyWhoosh. Make sure you download the MyWhoosh app of the program on to whatever device you can use, whether that is going to be something like an Apple iPhone with the iOS system, whether you're going to be on your super duper gaming laptop or PC, and that is going to be on the Windows, or of course you can do it on Android if you're on something like a Windows phone. So don't forget, download it, jump on board, go out and ride. It is a cracking route around the climbs. If you do both the Jebel Hafi and the Jebel Yace in the same ride, let me know. I keep looking at the route and keep on going, nah, just one of them's enough. Let's show you why. This is today's route. We have done all of it apart from the red stuff on the right, and it's red for a reason. It's our horse category climb, the Jebel Yace climb here. A lot of it, once we get over the first third, 3/8 of it, the gradient changes quite a lot. You've got steeper kicks, you've got leveling off, you've got steep sections, easing. When you get onto the top 2/3 of this, it is a grind. It really is. And it's going to wear the riders down. And you're going to need to be as strong in the mind as you are in the legs on this ascent, because this is tough. Emma, when the riders hit the Jebel Yace, you are a consummate rider when it comes to long climbs. You're probably more adept at these than I am. This sort of climb, it's sitting at a pace. It's about knowing how hard to go. And if there is an easing of the pace, as a rider who likes to time trial your way up a climb, would you just keep pushing?
Well, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because for me personally, changes in pace on this climb are what is going to do damage to me. You know, that's a real big issue. For me, I like a very steady pace, and I like to be able to hold a steady pace. I would rather ride my own race up a climb like this than have to respond to others.
So when we're looking at the profile, the part that's likely to suit you is the top 2/3 of this rather than the lower third, where we've got those changes in gradient, and hence we're going to see a change in cadence and change in pace.
And we've seen different riders ride very differently up these climbs. You know, we have seen riders attack and then come off the pace, and we've seen riders who have been dropped off of those attacks maintain their own pace up this climb and come back. You know, you cannot discount anybody you've dropped from a group on a 13.5 kilometre climb.
And one of those riders would traditionally be Mr. X100. The initial sections here, where it steepens and lessens, that's where you see those big pushes and the drops. That is where he'd be further back, potentially, and off the back. And then we've seen him chase through and get right up into the top 5. At the moment, he's gone on the front. He's setting his own pace behind. David Talbot is leading the chaser at nearly 8 watts per kilo to close down the leading duo. They're going to come onto the back wheels pretty soon, I think, at that kind of pace. Talbot pulling across Dawson. Talbot ready for the Donut Give Up squad. Dawson ready for the International K Club. So real interesting team tactics a bit further down the slopes. Now, up ahead, Category 3, our leader is Munoz Giraldo, who is clear at the front at the moment. The Colombian Andean rider living up to the Colombian's reputation for climbing prowess, but behind is a big pack of riders. But he's going to have the advantage. He's now starting to come on to the riders in front, who are the chasing group of Category 4 riders. And that means that although there's not a huge amount of aerodynamic draft advantage to be gained hiding behind somebody, there is some. if you're doing 28 kilometers an hour, that's about 18 miles an hour. You can hide behind somebody.
Well, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because on the right-hand side of your screen, we've got the leading group in the Category 4 race as well. It was a group of 5, and it is McMurtry who's being dropped off of that at the moment. He's slowly making his way back on. He's got 3 teammates in that leading group as we see Munoz Giraldo now come up onto a very large group of Category 4 riders. He's kicking, he's pushing on. He wants to go up and past these. He's just going to take a bit of a breather. He's on the back of the main group. He's kicking and pushing again. It's a big effort to go past a group so large when you're on your own, particularly on a climb like this, but he is continuing to push and he's continuing to work his way through. He's going to put himself in the top 10 on the road shortly. It's just going to be that leading group in Category 4 that are ahead of him. So we've got that leading group of 5 up the road. They are the leaders on the road at the moment. If you can take a look on the bottom left-hand side of your screen at the moment, you can see all the way back down the mountain the mix of Category 4 and Category 3 riders as Munoz Giraldo pushes on. The Category 4 group responding around him to try and dig in deep and see if they can't pull themselves away from some of the rest of this group. But Munoz Giraldo shows why he's a Category 3 rider, and he pushes on those pedals and pushes on. Now, the next rider in front of him is Brett McMurtry. He is one of this leading group of 5, but he's been dropped. So 4 riders now 20 seconds up the road. McMurtry in no man's land between them and the chase group. Now, is Munoz Giraldo going to tow the Category 4 group back to the leaders in the Category 4 race?
They are trying to stay with him. You can see the numbers coming out of the riders behind, but they are a further 10 to 15 seconds down, and that is telling the gap is continuing to open out. So here we go, McMurtry on to his heels comes Munoz Giraldo, and he's going straight past him here. That is Pantani-esque in the speed he's going up from that classic ascent of the Alpe d'Huez. The riders literally, as he came up and passed, put their arms in the air, sat up and just put their arms in the air and said, what can we do about this? Real climbing prowess here from Munoz Giraldo as he comes up and through. He may have set off behind them on the hill, but he's making his way through this breakaway and now starting to make his way up towards the very front of the road. You can see in front, they might be 12 seconds, but it's gone to 11, 9.
Yeah, but you know, he's still got a long way to go. He's still got a long way to go, and he's putting in a massive effort to go past these Category 4 riders. And you can see it's flicking up, it's flicking down, it's flicking up, it's flicking down. So this is a huge effort for him.
But that is also indicative of a great climber. A great climber, hate to break this to you, Emma, doesn't sit at a steady pace. A great climber
I never said I was a
will
great
get
climber.
out of the saddle, we'll sprint, look at this, out the saddle, dancing away on the pedals. Then we'll sit down and ride at a gear. Then we'll get out the pedals and dance again on those pedals, then sit back down again. Good job, but you can't see what I'm doing in the studio. And do the same, because that is what they do. They dance the way up that climb. He's danced his way up to the leading riders on the road. He's caught them for 5 minutes, and he is now sitting there. How long will he sit there? Not long is my prediction. I think he's going to go fast pretty quickly. He's got a good gap, but he knows that he can, if he knows he can climb faster, why would you not do it?
Well, Matt can dance all he likes in the studio. These guys are dancing on the pedals, and those pedals are turning at the moment. They're turning on the Yabble as our Category 4 leaders, 4 riders leading the Category 4 race, now get joined by Munoz Giraldo. He's leading the Category 3 race. So Francis, Dadson, Allport and Warren leading the Category 4 race. Munoz Giraldo leading the Category 3 race. Those are the 5 riders on your screen. Back down the mountain, you can see them snaked out all on the hill. This is the Category 1 race. We had a big group of around 25, 26 riders. We had X100 and Vidal Mare out front. We've now got, take a look at that. It has been decimated in the early slopes of the Yabble 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 riders on a quick count. So less than 50% of the group that went into the bottom already together.
Glad you did the maths there.
Well, I don't know. I tried to do some very quick counting.
Well, that's faster than mine, let's face it. Right, on to the climb we go. Looking back at the screen on the left-hand side, looking down the road, you can see the damage that was done by the move up here. This leading the group continuing to push. Behind the group's exploded. However, I think we could see riders coming back in here. I don't think these riders are done and dusted behind. I think we're going to see this pack start to come back together again. And the reason I'm saying this is because we are still in that yo-yo section where the gradient is changing. Little further up the road, you can see right-hand side of your screen, Simmons at the moment leading out with Mare chasing behind. So is Espina, so is Yuki, so is Graves. But they are trying at the moment to contain Olivier Simmons. He's kicking the pack. He's stirring up a hornet's nest. At the moment, they're all coming out. Nobody can put in that killer sting at the moment and get clear. That's what they need to do. But at the moment, it is not happening. They are at 37k. They've got 8 more kilometers to go, and they need to start bringing this group down. It's too big. This is in danger of being a sprint at the finish, and that is a gamble. You're going to gamble your team prize. You're going to gamble your individual prize. You're going to gamble the fact that you can say you won the Sunday Race Club final on the fact you've got with you 10, 20 riders. Absolutely not.
Well, we're looking at, as you say, around 20 riders on the lead in the Category 2 race. We're looking at around 12 riders in the Category 1 race. And, you know, Matt, they're only around 1 kilometre between the two groups at the moment as this Category 1 group continue to tap their way up the mountain.
And Category 1, as they tap in that group, Category 2 is blowing apart again. So let's see what's going to happen. Category 1 are flying, though, here. Look at the speed, 37 kilometres an hour. I've just seen it come from the riders on the way through. Knudsen at the moment keeping his powder dry. Remember, Knudsen regularly on the podium, regularly up there. He's a regular rider for the UAE Clan team. But it's looking like he has got limited assistance in this leading group. Just looking through the mix of riders. Great ride at the moment by Joshua Harris. He's been improving all the way through the season. And Harris, one of those riders we haven't really mentioned all that much. He's relatively new, but at the moment doing a great job for that Donut Give Up. And I think the Donut Giving Up squad, just having a quick flick through the names on here, are really well represented in this leading group.
Well, yeah, I can tell you, we've got 4 Belgian waffle riders. We've got 3 Do Not Give Ups. We've got 3 sweet potatoes, and we've got 2 UAE Clan riders.
It sounded like a very bad recipe until we got to the UAE Clan team, really, there. Anybody who's made anything with waffles, sweet potatoes and donuts, just let us know.
I'm sure you can make sweet potato waffles.
I'm sure you probably can. Watch Emma's feed at Biking Emma to see if she actually ever manages to achieve it. Right, on to the racing and back with the riders here. So, the UAE Clan team only 2 riders in the mix here. They're going to be dependent on what their riders
don't
behind
discount them. There's still a very long way to go.
It is a long, long way to go. Then, we've got 3 riders for Donut Give Up and Sweet Potatoes, Belgian waffles with strength in depth. But remember, it's a cumulative time of all 3 riders added together. So, all our riders will have to keep pushing. There is not a huge distance between these riders. It's 300 meters or so.
It's not far.
Separating them. That is more than achievable. And I think this chasing group has got, I think it's SS and Mr. X100 from the UAE Clan team. And we know that Mr. X100 is going to sit at a pace and he is just going to motor his way up this climb.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. The X100 is going to sit at the pace he knows he can sit at, and he's just going to continue to ride. If the rest go with him, the rest go with him. If they don't, he won't be bothered.
No, he's just going to go keep pushing, and you can see that gap. They're really pushing along here. It's only 4 seconds to Van Haren. Bjorklund is 10 seconds up the road. He can see them. We can see them. Right-hand side of your screen, green, rider in green coming back. That is Nicholas Van Haren coming back from Category 2. He gets passed by this group. The group of riders just in front going round that right-hand turn, just going past that yellow sculpture of the rider on the bike. That is the group, and they're going to come into sight on this straight before we come into this long left-hand turn. At the moment, you can just see the leading group are in sight of the chasers. They're aware of that. They know what those time gaps are. this is going to be absolutely critical. Safrazad, Vajasi, Noran, Martins, all in the mix. In front of them, the riders in front, they are the next group of Category 2 riders. They are not the Category 2 leaders because that pack has been smashed to pieces and there are riders all over the road now in Category 2.
Yeah, take a look at the bottom left-hand side of your screen. You can see them, all of those green dots all the way up that mountain. That's the Category 2 race. The Category 1 race, still huge blobs of yellow. We're looking at 3 big packs of riders at the moment in the Category 1 race, but they are going to continue to pick up the Category 2 riders as they move up the mountain.
So here we go. We are on the upper slopes. We will be climbing all the way to 45 kilometers of racing covered. We have 7 kilometers of racing left. We've gone just over the hour mark for the Category 1 riders, just approaching 1 hour and 4 minutes of racing so far. As you can see, the heart rates are rising. The altitude is being gained. The riders are ascending the slopes with Category 1 at what is currently 38.1k, 39k for Category 2. It is 40.9k for our Category 3 leader, who's the solo leader, bottom left-hand side of your screen. The Category 4 leader is with the Category 3 chasers, and that at the moment is at 40.8. Only 100 meters or so behind, but because this is a big slope, that is a big old time gap. So let's see how this race plays out as we come in to our race finish. At the moment, Category 1 are looking like they've got this under control in that leading group. They're climbing comfortably. Where are we going to see a divider? Where are we going to see a division between these riders? I think that's going to come when we hit the slopes, but we may see an instigation. It looks like there's another attack on the front here. Michael Knudsen it is who's pushed on. So Knudsen has gone at 8 watts per kilo. Massive chase behind. Look at the response. Almost instantaneous. The warning flags were waved. The flares were sent up. The alarms went off. It's Knudsen on the attacking side. Safrazad has gone right onto his heels. Popovic knows the danger, but he's a teammate. He will mark the moves up behind, but he won't want Safrazad up there. They will want to try and get as much of a gap on the rest as they can. Osborne responding, Noran responding, Martin's responding. They're all right up there in the chase, and it's Safrazad who has the lead with Knudsen. The 2 riders are together, but Popovic is in the chase, and this is going to hurt. The legs are going to be screaming. The lungs are burning at the moment, and they are still 6.1k, 6k now to the finish. That is a long, long way. But the digs have gone in and they are wanting time gaps. And I think in part this is because the UAE clan team know that they need to get big time gaps. A little win, 1 second, 2 seconds will not be enough for them because they're not represented by enough riders in this leading group. They need bigger time gaps.
Oh, they do need bigger time gaps, but this group continued to keep coming back together again because of the class in this field. Whilst we watch them, look at that. Zach Nair continuing to push on. So is Josh Harris. They do not want to be out of this group. Now, Matt, we mentioned Strava segment for the Evelyace in the women's race. I've got the men's in front of me. Now, let me just caveat this with there are multiple Strava segments out there and available. This is just the one I have picked up today, and it does not match identically to what's in front of us. But who is at the top, do you think, Matt, setting the fastest time up the Evelyace?
Tadej Pogacar.
5th.
That's
so
good guess.
Pogacar, 40 minutes, 42 seconds gives him 5th place.
Okay. Vinigo.
No.
Okay. Roglic.
No. Nibali.
The Shark Messina.
There
Interesting.
You go. So Pogacar in 5th. Filippo Ganna in 8th, 40 minutes and 46. Nibali's time, 40 minutes, 38 seconds.
Okay. And so but Ganna is not renowned as as a little climber, as a lightweight climber. He's a power climber. He can sit and pull a time trial pace out. Very interesting. Pure climbers not necessarily being the fastest up here. Not that Nibali's a bad climber in any way, shape or form
Roman
either.
Bardet in 2nd, 40 minutes 41.
So, interesting to see how that compares when we go up to the top of the climb. Remember, of course, the Strava segments don't necessarily translate across, but they do give us an indication. If that said it was 1 minute 20, and these, you know, we were looking at 20 minutes here, there'd be no way comparable. But it shows you the length of climb, the amount of effort required to get to the top of the hill. Knudsen on the attack. Popovic is with him. Safrazad is there as well. 2 seconds back to Vajassin, leading 3 riders, opening a gap now, and it's starting to stick. 3 seconds
this
for
is interesting,
Vajassin and Osborne. 3 ultra strong riders on the climb. Saeed Safrazad, Michael Knudsen, along with Pablo Popovic. Johan Noren can climb, so can Vajassin, so can Martin, so can Osborne. But are they going to do the work? Who is prepared to commit at this stage to bring that gap back down?
Well, Knudsen, Safrazad and Popovic, that is a phenomenal group of riders. We are just taking a look back. It's still 3 seconds, only 3 seconds back to the chasing group. It's going to be really interesting to see whether they can claw their way back. It's Knudsen actually having to put a kick on at the moment just to get back into contention with the group. He's gone up and over at 7 watts per kilo. Safrazad and Popovic doing the chasing. They're working their way through the category 2 groups now on the road. And there's not a lot of them left.
There's not a lot of them left at all. Let's just give you a reminder of what those riders are looking like there. You've got Popovic, you've got Knudsen, and you've got Safrazad. Knudsen is the rider with no hair in that leading group of 3 side. Safrazad is the rider that is going up with the yellow cap, and Pablo Popovic with the white cap on the climb. Left-hand side of your screen, right-hand side. Well, category 2 leaders. It's still not decided.
Well, do you know what? 15 riders in the leading group in category 2. It is one large group ahead of these chasing riders from category 1. Look at the size of it. There's now a push coming on the front from Carsten Mayer, Phil Graves, Nicholas Spratt, Oliver Simmons, because they know what's going to happen when that category 1 group come together. Actually, just taking a look at that, I reckon there's 2 riders further back down the road, so it must be 13 riders that are leading this group, but still 13 riders in the leading group is huge, particularly when there's a category 1 group coming up behind you. And they know the category 1 riders are going to do damage here. It will be who can jump in and who can stay the longest and who can utilize the category 1 riders to stretch this group, because there's nothing between them in this category 2 race today.
Every time we see an attack, Mayer goes on the front. You see Dont responding to it, Graves responding to it, Primero responding to Spina, Bengtson, Juki, Spratt. We have got a real who's who of category 2 racers, and at the moment they're always. And is this going to be about who responds to the one key, the real key attack moment? This is going to be critical.
Well, talking about one key attack moment, it was Munoz Giraldo who attacked the category 3 race field. He attacked the category 3 race field and he has climbed this mountain alone. Now it's 22 seconds back to Bert Ken, who's second in that category 3 race. Cadiz, Gakes, Montalo, Giuliano. Oh wow, Hoyas, Diduch are all chasing behind. So this is one lone rider in category 3, one lone chaser. Then a huge pack looking for 3rd, 4th and 5th place, as well as rounding out that team competition. They've got 1,700 meters to go until they see the finish line. On the left-hand side of your screen, that is Safrazad, Knudsen and Popovic. Oviedo from category 2 is trying to take a tow. So is Kirchner, but the 3 riders in category 1 are now clear of the riders behind as they continue to push and they continue to tap. You can just see now they're going around that bend. They are going to lose sight of the group behind, or should I say the group behind have lost sight of them. So 3 riders now in this category 1 race. They've got 12 category 2 riders ahead, and that group of category 2 riders, the last time we saw them, it was one big group.
It was. Now here we go. This is going to be key. Remember, 45k to the finish. 500 meters before the finish is the polka dot banner. Big move here by Oviedo, sitting in with this group, trying to stay with them. But these three riders, Saeed Safrafatsad, Michael Knudsen, Pablo Popovic, three names that we know could all be in at the win behind Lionel Vujassin, climbing really well with Martin Martins, with Jason Osborne. They are pushing on there. Vujassin, Osborne and Martins, all part of the Belgian Waffle squad. Really interesting how they now approach this, bearing in mind that they have opened a gap on the riders behind. In that mix, that is really interesting, isn't it? Because what we've got
They're coming.
They are coming. They're riding as a squad, and this is the group. So basically, in front, two of the clan team with company of one sweet potato. The chasing group here, this is essentially the Belgian Waffle squad on the chase at the moment, and they are coming up, but they have a company in there as well. It's another sweet potato. It is Johan Noren. This will actually bring two sweet potato riders into the lead group if they can come together.
Well, this is amazing riding. We said it's not over until we get to the top, until you get to the finish line. And we've said we have had challenges for the leaders on the road before, on the mountains, and that riders have come back unexpectedly. Well, this group of riders, they have pushed on. There's 8 seconds between them and the lead group, but they can see the lead group in front of them. And as soon as you can see them, they are in your sights. That is added motivation. So Vujassin, Osborne, Noren, pushing hard. It's 35 seconds back to the next group of Category 1 riders, and that's being led at the moment by Josh Harris. So Osborne, Martins, Noren and Vujassin, 4 riders chasing 3 riders up the road, Popovic, Safrazad and Knudsen. So this is going to be a phenomenal finale to the Category 1 race for Julian David Munoz Giraldo. This is going to be a phenomenal climb in the Category 3 race, because he's going to come under the polka dot banner, signalling the end of the Hawk category climb of the Jebel Yais. That's the segment done. It's 500 meters to the finish for him.
500 meters to go for Munoz Giraldo. He takes the polka dot skin suit of the climb leader. He could have that taken off him in that category by a faster climbing rider behind. That is going to be absolutely critical. Really interesting to watch this as these riders continue to push. Ken, Giuliano, Caligula all racing in here. Cadiz, Diduch, Gates. It's a real battle in Category 3, and I think this team competition is going to come down to fractions of a second between them as they make their way up the climb. You can see Bert Kahan at the moment, the rider in second place, coming up underneath that climb banner at the moment. 300 meters to go for Munoz Giraldo, 500 meters for Bert Kahan. He has got a gap back to Caligula, and all of the chasers in Category 3. The Category 3 overtaking the Category 4 riders on the climb. We are going to come up to that banner very shortly. It's not the very top of the Jebel Yais itself. You'll have to go ride it on MyWhoosh to be there. But the riders are coming in to the finish. It's going to be a great ride by Munoz Giraldo here. He's kicking on. Julian David Munoz Giraldo, he's going to be your race winner here in Category 3. He comes up to the line. He left them all in his wake. He's your winner in the monthly finals on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
Well, the Colombian Andean rider setting a precedent in Category 3. This is the chase behind him. Bert Kahan's been caught. He was in second place for a long time. But Uran Yarievi has indeed pushed on. So let's see if he's going to hold it or whether Kahan's going to come back. He is indeed going to hold it for second place. Kahan's going to have trouble, but he's going to hold on to third. Diduch is pushing for fourth, but it is absolutely all fast and furious with a sprint coming from behind.
So Category 3 have come in and over the line. We saw our top 3 riders come in and through. Category 1 are trying to close the gap down behind our leaders, but they're not doing so because the leaders in Category 1 have caught the leaders of Category 2. They are basically all together. This is your leading group Category 1 and 2 together on the climb, and at the moment they have 900 meters to go. They're coming up towards the banner, the polka dot banner that will signify the end of the climb itself. And at the moment, the Category 2 riders, I think they have all managed to save a little something to be able to stay with these riders. Those that can hang in with the Category 1 are going to be able to benefit from this. Let's see what happens. The yellow jersey starting to move to the front now. They're continuing to push 5.5% the gradient. Knudsen on the front, winding it up. Zapata responding from Category 2. A real battle here. Now, this is going to be really critical for the riders in Category 1 and Category 2.
It is indeed, and we are going to see the finish here come very, very thick and fast as they see the polka dot banner signifying the end of the Yellow-Lace segmented climb. They are moving, and they are moving well, and those Category 2 riders are digging and digging deep at the moment as they hang with Knudsen, with Safrazad, with Popovic. We know the riders are chasing, and the riders are chasing really hard behind. This is going to be a fabulous 400 meters to the finish.
So here we are, the riders coming around this left-hand turn. Yellow jersey of Category 1, as well as the polka dot jersey of Knudsen. As they go up here, it's Pablo Popovic leading, but Said Safrazad comes over the top. Safrazad, then Popovic. Popovic now takes in lead. Here's the white cap. Safrazad with the yellow cap behind. They're bringing with them Phil Graves in his triathlon time trial helmet there, showing his roots. Will he be able to dig in deep? He's a man who's raced on at the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club since we kicked off, but this is the run for the line. So Category 1 first of all. Said Safrazad trying to open it up. Pablo Popovic, the momentum master, takes it. Then it's going to be Said Safrazad who comes in and through. Knudsen comes through as well. It's going to be Graves, Zapata and co. It's going to be absolutely down to the second. So I think it is Graves who takes the win in Category 2. In Category 1, it's Pablo Popovic from Said Safrazad and Michael Knudsen. This is now about the team race behind. Osborne is in, Vujasin's in, Martins is going to come in. Surely that is going to give them the team competition, but it's going to depend on how the riders behind perform in all of our categories here today. Johan Noren, what a chase back by him. We saw that group was coming quick. It didn't quite make it up. Meanwhile, we see Medakowicz, Simmons, Mayer and Spratt come through from Category 2. And it's like the top of the UK National Hill Climb at the top of the struggle, which is going on right now. They need catchers at the top to catch these riders. There's that many of them. Here are your top 7 so far in Category 1. Pablo Popovic taking the win for the UAE clan team. Said Safrazad in second for Sweet Potatoes. Michael Knudsen coming in third place for the UAE clan team. Behind, though, 3 Belgian Waffles. Jason Osborne in 4, Lionel Vujasin in 5, Martin Martins in 6. Then it's going to be the Sweet Potatoes rider Johan Noren. So, UAE clan team with 2 riders home, and the Sweet Potatoes with 2 riders home, all chasing the Waffles. This is going to be so tight at the top.
Well, I think I can tell you the Belgian Waffles may well have got it with Osborne, Vujasin and Martins coming in. In the Category 2 race, the Wattage Wizards, we said they might be there. The Hitmen coming in 10 seconds behind. The Colombian Andean squad taking it, I think, from about 45 seconds from the Hexagons.
So really close, really tight racing across all 4 categories in our men's race, matching the action of our women's race earlier on today. It's been an absolute blast. We said it was going to be a cracker. It certainly was. Don't forget, jump on board. Come and join in one of the rides. You'll see me out on MyWhoosh riding as well. My name's Matt Payne. You can catch up with me on social media, on MyWhoosh, on Strava. It's at Matt Payne. Emma, where can we find you?
Oh, you can find me at Biking Emma.
So you can get hold of Emma at Biking Emma on Instagram. Please do get in touch. Let us know what you're up to. Don't forget, give the amazing team behind the scenes at MyWhoosh a follow. It's at MyWhoosh on Instagram and on Facebook. Don't forget, of course, jump on board. We want to see you riding. We want to know what you're getting up to. It's been an absolute pleasure putting words to the action. We are going to jump in from one UCI set of races across to another because we're going to be heading out to, Emma's going to be heading across to the XCE World Championships.
European
Sorry, European
Championships today.
Championships.
World Championships are in November.
And Emma's going to be on those as well. And I'm going to be bringing you the Cyclocross World Cup from Mechelen. So please do join us for those if you can. And of course, we want you back next week. But from Emma, from myself, and from the amazing team behind the scenes who make it all happen and all possible, stay safe. We will see you again soon.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.